The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Zethkar's crystalline form shimmered with desperation. For 3,000 years, the Council had maintained peace across 17 sectors, but now they faced something that defied all their careful diplomacy and advanced technology. The Devourers have consumed the Rigel system, Zethkar announced, his voice resonating through the translators with barely contained terror. 4 billion souls. Gone. Their ships. They don't just destroy planets, they unmake them, converting matter itself into more of their kind. The assembled representatives from dozens of species shifted uncomfortably. The aquatic Murthani bubbled nervously in their environmental suits. The insectoid Vixtar clicked their mandibles in distress. Even the stoic energy beings of Proxima dimmed their luminescence. How long until they reach the core worlds? Asked High Counselor Veltara, her fur rippling with anxiety. 6 months? Maybe less? A heavy silence settled over the chamber. Every species had contributed their finest military minds, their most advanced weapons, their most sophisticated strategies. Nothing had worked. The Devourers adapted to energy weapons, consumed projectiles for raw materials, and turned defensive shields into breeding grounds for their spawn. That's when the human delegation requested to speak. Captain Sarah Chen stepped forward, her simple military uniform a stark contrast to the elaborate regalia of the other species. Humans had only been part of the Galactic Council for 50 years. Newcomers who'd been tolerated more than respected. Their technology was primitive, their lifespans brief, their bodies fragile. We volunteer to handle the Devourer threat, Chen announced. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of sounds. Laughter from some species, outrage from others, bewilderment from most. Captain Chen, Veltara said gently, we appreciate your species' enthusiasm, but this is beyond conventional warfare. The Devourers have consumed civilizations that had millions of years to perfect their military science. Chen's expression didn't change. With respect, Counselor, none of those civilizations were human. Zethkar's form pulsed red with what translated as incredulous anger. You primitives think you can succeed where the eternal hegemon failed? Where the quantum collective was reduced to scattered particles? No, Chen replied calmly. We think we can succeed because they failed. The captain gestured to her aide, who activated a holographic display showing human military history. Images flashed by. Trenches of World War I, the beaches of Normandy, urban warfare in demolished cities, guerrilla fighters in jungle canopies. Every species here fights to preserve. You build to last eternities, create art to outlive stars, wage war to maintain the status quo. It's admirable. It's civilized. Chen's eyes hardened. It's also why you're losing. She pointed to footage of human soldiers advancing through toxic gas, scaling impossible cliffs under fire, fighting building to building through rubble. Humans fight to destroy. We're good at it because we've been doing it to ourselves for millennia. You call us primitive? Maybe. But we've perfected the art of total warfare in ways your peaceful civilizations can't comprehend. Admiral Voss, Chen's superior, stepped forward. Your species thinks in terms of acceptable losses. Ours thinks in terms of acceptable sacrifices. The difference isn't subtle. The council members exchanged uncertain glances. The human proposal was considered for 3 days before desperation overcame skepticism. 6 weeks later, Admiral Voss stood on the bridge of the UES Ragnarok, humanity's first purpose-built devourer hunter. Unlike the elegant curves and energy fields preferred by other species, human ships were angular, armored slabs bristling with weapons that fired solid projectiles, chemical explosives, and nuclear warheads, technologies so primitive that most council species had abandoned them millennia ago. Contact, reported Lieutenant Morrison. Devourer swarm bearing 27 Mark IV. Estimate, Jesus Christ, Admiral, there's thousands of them. The view screen showed the enemy, a writhing mass of biomechanical nightmares that seemed to bend space around them. They'd already begun converting the outer planets of the Kepler system into more of their kind. Signal the fleet, Voss ordered. Operation Genghis Khan is a go. Across human space, the war machine mobilized with terrifying efficiency. Not the careful, measured response of a civilized species, but the howling fury of a race that had clawed its way up from primordial violence. Every human colony contributed. Asteroid miners became kamikaze pilots. Cargo haulers were converted into kinetic bombardment platforms. Even civilian vessels were packed with explosives and given simple targeting computers. The battle for Kepler lasted 3 days. Humans threw everything they had at the Devourers, and when conventional weapons failed, they got creative. Cargo, ships filled with antimatter, were pilot-guided into Devourer cores. Marines in power armor detonated themselves inside enemy vessels. Entire fleets executed ramming maneuvers that would have been inconceivable to any sane species. The breakthrough came when Sergeant Kim Wong found herself alone inside a Devourer bioship, surrounded by the creature's neural network. Instead of trying to escape, she activated every explosive she carried and held position, even as the alien entity tried to convert her into one of its own. "For humanity," were her last transmitted words, followed by an explosion that triggered a chain reaction through the entire swarm. The Kepler system fell silent. Nothing remained of the Devourer force except floating debris and the scattered hulks of human ships. 3 months later, Ambassador Chen addressed the Galactic Council once more. Behind her, the casualty reports were staggering. 40% of the human fleet destroyed, millions of soldiers dead. Any other species would have mourned for generations. Humans were already building new ships. "The Devourer threat has been neutralized," Chen reported. "Our deep space scouts have confirmed the elimination of their remaining forces in the Void Nebula and the Broken Rim." The council sat in stunned silence. The humans had accomplished in months what the combined forces of the galaxy had failed to do in years. "How?" whispered Zethkar. Chen smiled, and for the first time, the assembled aliens understood why humans showed their teeth when pleased. It was a predator's expression. "You asked us to be monsters," she said simply. "We just remembered that we already were." The vote to grant humanity permanent council military authority was unanimous. After all, every civilization needs its monsters. They just usually keep them locked away until the universe forces their hand. Humanity had never bothered with locks.